You are over 50. You have already decided somewhere quietly that a certain version of your life is behind you. The version where a woman looks at you like you are worth looking at. The version where intimacy is not a negotiation or a memory, but something present and real and chosen. You came to Thailand with low expectations. What happened instead is the reason you are still thinking about it 6 months later, and the reason you are already looking at flights. Here is why sex and intimacy over 50 in Thailand is not what you expected, and why the men who experience it almost always say the same thing afterward. In Western culture, a man over 50 carries a specific invisible tax. He is past his peak, he is the older one in the room, his desirability is assumed to be in decline, whether anyone says so out loud or not. He has absorbed this message from his culture for years, sometimes decades, and by the time he arrives in Thailand, he carries it in his posture without knowing it. Thai women do not operate inside that framework. They never did. Age in Thailand signals something different entirely: stability, experience, patience, the deliberate calm that comes from having lived long enough to stop being frantic about everything. Older men here are not invisible. They are often actively preferred by Thai women who have spent years navigating the unpredictability of younger men and the performance energy of younger foreign visitors who come, stay 2 weeks, and leave without leaving anything real behind. A man who arrives in Thailand carrying the weight of his own cultural diminishment will be surprised to discover that it does not land here the way it landed at home. She is not lowering her standards to be with him. She is operating from a different set of values entirely, and those values place him somewhere he has not been placed in a long time. He was 61. He had not been looked at with genuine interest in years. The kind of interest that is not polite, not performed, not the result of someone being kind. She was 38. She looked at him the way people look at something they have been hoping to find for a while. He did not understand it at first. He kept waiting for the catch, the ask, the reveal, the thing that would explain why this was happening. There was no catch. That was the most disorienting thing that had ever happened to him. Stop arriving with your home culture's assessment of yourself. She is not making an exception for your age. She is operating with a different set of values. Let her. He was waiting for her to realize what she had agreed to. She already knew. That was the point. Before we continue, please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any videos in the future. The single greatest sexual asset a man over 50 brings to Thailand is not money, not status, not experience in the conventional sense that younger men imagine when they think about what older men offer. It is patience. The genuine, unhurried, nowhere else to be patience that younger men almost never have, not because they are bad men, but because they have not yet lived long enough to understand that rushing toward a destination is almost always the wrong decision. For a Thai woman who has spent years with men who rush, this quality is immediately and physically felt. She does not need to be told about it. She feels it in the first 20 minutes, and it changes everything about how the rest of the evening unfolds. Thai women prize slowness in intimacy in a way that foreign men who have only been with Western women are genuinely unprepared for. Slowness here is the primary signal that she matters, that she is the point, not the destination. A man who moves at her pace is a man who values her above whatever he came there hoping to get. Patience in a man over 50 is not a technique he practiced or a strategy he read about somewhere. It is earned through years of understanding that the destination is rarely better than the journey, and that the man who is always rushing to arrive somewhere has usually already missed the best part. She feels the difference between performed patience and real patience immediately, and she responds to real patience in a way that surprises men who have spent years thinking their best years were behind them. He did not rush. Not because he was being strategic, because at 63 he genuinely understood that there was nowhere more important to be than exactly where he was. She had never experienced that before. Not from Thai men, not from the younger foreigners who moved through her life quickly and left quickly. She told a friend, "He moves like time is not running out." Her friend said, "Find another one." Do not apologize for your pace or compensate for it with extra effort or extra spending. It is your greatest advantage in that room. Let her feel the full weight of a man who is not hurrying anywhere. She had never been with a man who moved like time belonged to him. She did not want him to stop. A man over 50 arrives with something most younger men simply cannot fake: a life that is visible in how he carries himself, how he makes decisions without performance, how he handles ordinary difficulty without turning it into a scene. Thai women read this immediately and respond to it in a way that consistently surprises men who spent the flight over convinced they would be overlooked. Status in Thailand is not only financial, it is behavioral. A man who has clearly lived, made decisions that mattered, carried responsibility for years, and arrived on the other side of it without being broken, carries a gravity that younger men simply do not have yet. It is not something he has to describe. She reads it in how he sits, how he orders food without deliberating for 5 minutes, how he responds when something goes slightly wrong in a way that does not produce heat or drama. A man who has been through real things and is not visibly damaged by them is a very specific kind of attractive that has nothing to do with his face or his body and everything to do with the life that has settled into him. Nothing had gone right that evening. The restaurant had lost the reservation, the taxi was 40 minutes late, and the driver took a wrong turn. He handled both without irritation, calmly redirected the situation, made a small joke that landed without forcing it, found somewhere better on his own initiative. She watched all of it with the specific attention Thai women bring to small tests that men do not know they are taking. By the time they sat down somewhere new, she had already decided something she would not say out loud until much later in the evening. Stop hiding your age and start inhabiting what it has given you. The calm competence of a man who has lived is not invisible here. It is one of the most powerful things you brought to Thailand, and you brought it without even knowing you were carrying it. He did not tell her who he was. He showed her how he moved through the world. She did not need anything else. The quality of intimate experience that men over 50 describe in Thailand is almost universally different from what they expected, and not despite their age, but specifically because of the kind of woman who chooses to be fully present with them. She is not distracted, she is not performing, she is not somewhere else in her head managing a list or thinking about tomorrow. She is there, completely and specifically there with him in a way that men who have spent years in relationships where they felt like background scenery are not prepared to receive. Thai women who choose older foreign men have almost always made a considered decision to do so. They are not there by accident, not there out of vague obligation, not there because nothing else was available. The deliberateness of her choice produces a quality of presence that casual or ambivalent encounters almost never carry. And for a man who has spent years feeling like he was present in his own life, but not particularly seen within it, this lands with a force he does not always have words for. He had braced himself for going through the motions. He had told himself it was fine, it was still something, it was better than nothing. She was not going through the motions. She was looking at him, actually at him, with the specific attention of someone who chose to be in that room with that particular person. He had to look away first. Afterward, he lay there in the quiet and thought one thing. I had forgotten this was possible. Receive her presence without deflecting it. Do not minimize the moment with self-deprecating humor or a joke that creates distance, just when distance is the last thing either of you needs. She chose to be fully there with you, be fully there in return. That is the only thing she is asking for. He had forgotten what it felt like to be the only person in the room. She reminded him I want to interrupt the video here for a moment because I have been working on something for a long time and I want to tell you about it. I put together a complete guide for Western men navigating exactly this: how to approach Thai women with the right framework, how to build genuine connection, how to move from the first message to something real. It is specifically written for men who come here with questions they have never been able to answer anywhere else. It is called From Hello to Her Bedroom. 10 chapters, every stage covered. 3 messages I want to share with you. First, David from Phoenix, 58 years old. He had been to Thailand 4 times and left 4 times feeling like he had missed something he could not name. He read the guide before his 5th trip, specifically the chapter on building trust through presence rather than performance. His words: I stopped trying to be impressive and started being still. A Thai woman stayed with me for 11 days. 11. She had never done that with anyone. He was specific about what those 11 days contained. I will leave the details with him. Second, Frank from Hamburg, 62. He had convinced himself that what he was looking for in Thailand was beyond him at his age. He said the guide dismantled that belief in the first 3 chapters. His next trip, he met a woman through the method in chapter 2 and said that what happened between them on the 3rd night was, his words, the best experience of my adult life, and I am not exaggerating. He went back 3 weeks later. He is going back again next month. Third, Paul from Toronto, 55. He was not looking for short term, he was looking for something real. He used the guide to communicate clearly and honestly from the beginning and is now in a relationship with a Thai woman he has been with for 7 months. 3 different men, 3 different situations. The same guide. The guide is $14. Pinned comment at the top, not the description. The pinned comment. Men over 50 arrive in Thailand carrying a specific physical self-consciousness that they have accumulated quietly over years. The body is older, slower, different from what it was at 30 or 40. The stomach is not flat, the skin is not tight. The things they used to take for granted about their physical presence are no longer present in the same way. And so they arrive with a kind of preemptive apology running in the background, a readiness to acknowledge the obvious before she notices it, to get ahead of the judgment they have already convicted themselves of. Thai women notice this anxiety before they notice the body, and the anxiety is far less attractive than the body ever was. Physical idealism in Thai culture is less rigidly attached to age than in the West. A man who is clean, who smells good, who takes basic care of himself is not disadvantaged by the fact that he is 60. What matters considerably more is how he inhabits his body, the ease or discomfort with which he occupies his own physical presence, not what that presence looks like from the outside. A man who is comfortable in his own body, imperfect and older and real, is dramatically more attractive than a man who is quietly apologizing for it in every interaction. Discomfort with your own body is contagious. She will feel it in the room before anything has happened, and she will adjust accordingly, which means you will never get to find out what she would have offered if you had simply walked in without the apology. He had prepared a version of one, not out loud, just internally, a readiness to acknowledge the obvious first, to soften the moment before it arrived. She moved toward him like there was nothing to apologize for. Not performatively, not as reassurance, just straightforwardly, as if his concern had not occurred to her because it genuinely had not. The apology dissolved before it was ever delivered. He thought afterward, I have been carrying that for nothing. Take care of the basics, be clean, be groomed, be unhurried in how you present yourself, and then release the rest. Walk into the room like the body you have is the body you chose to show up in. She will respond to how you inhabit it, not to what it looks like from across the room. He had an apology ready for his body. She did not give him the space to deliver it. Before we continue, please subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any videos in the future. I want to ask you something and I want you to be honest, even if just with yourself. Did you arrive in Thailand expecting less than you got? Tell me in the comments. A man over 50 in Thailand carries a specific combination of qualities that younger men genuinely cannot replicate, and the Thai women who choose older men know this explicitly, not theoretically. Financial stability, emotional steadiness, the absence of the frantic proving himself energy that younger men carry into every interaction like luggage they do not know how to put down. She is not settling for less when she chooses an older man. She is selecting for something very specific that her experience has taught her to value. Thai women who have spent time with younger men, Thai or foreign, often describe the same things: unpredictability, inconsistency, the exhausting performance of masculinity that has not yet settled into itself, the constant need for confirmation, the competitiveness that has no real target. A man who has arrived at himself, who no longer needs to prove anything to anyone in the room, is genuinely specifically different. I want to say this directly because I think it is one of the most underestimated things I observe. Restfulness is a deeply attractive quality. It is not talked about in the same breath as confidence or presence or physicality, but for a Thai woman who manages constant social obligation and family expectation and the daily labor of maintaining appearances across multiple fronts, being near someone who is simply settled, who does not generate heat, who does not require anything from the room, is one of the most valuable things she can experience. She had been with a man her own age before, competitive in ways that were exhausting, always performing for an invisible audience, always making everything a comparison. This man was different. He was not performing anything. He was simply himself without apology, without effort, without needing her to confirm at regular intervals that he was sufficient. She found herself exhaling for the first time in a long time, in the specific way you exhale when you have been bracing for something that never arrives. Stop compensating for your age with money, with visible effort, with generosity that exceeds the moment and reads as anxiety. The thing she is actually drawn to costs you nothing. It is simply who you became by living long enough to stop performing. He had stopped proving himself years ago. That was the most attractive thing about him. The conversation about older men in Thailand almost always focuses entirely on what the man receives: the warmth, the presence, the intimacy that he had stopped expecting to find. It almost never focuses on what she deserves in return, and she deserves something real from him. She is a person making a genuine choice about a specific man. That choice carries weight in her life in ways he may not have fully considered. A Thai woman who chooses an older foreign man carries her own social costs, the questions from her community, the visibility of an unconventional arrangement, the family observations that do not always stay politely unspoken. She is absorbing something on his behalf, and most men never know it because she never says it, because she is Thai, and that is not how she communicates discomfort. The man who understands what she is offering, not just physically, but in the full context of her actual life, will treat her differently than the man who simply receives what is offered and asks no further questions. That difference is felt by her in very specific ways, and it is what separates the men she remembers from the men she eventually stops returning to. He had been coming to Thailand for 3 years. He was always warm while present, always quiet when away, not unkind, just absent in the way that distance makes easy. She never complained. She never asked for more than he offered, and she never indicated that anything was wrong because she was never going to indicate it directly. He assumed that meant everything was fine. One visit, she was slightly different, still warm, still present, but with a quality of distance that had not been there before, fine enough that he almost missed it. He asked if everything was okay. She said yes, of course. He almost let it go. He had let it go before. This time, he stayed one extra day. He asked again, properly, not as a check-in, as a genuine question from someone who actually wanted the real answer rather than the polite one. She told him one true thing. It was small. He listened to it completely without deflecting, without minimizing, without immediately moving to fix it as a performance of care. She was back fully by the end of the evening. Check in with her, not about the arrangement, about her actual life. Ask about her family, her week, what she is carrying right now. Mean the question when you ask it. A man who is interested in her as a person, and not just as an experience, is the man she will still be thinking about when he is on the plane home. That is not a small thing. She never asked him for more, he gave it anyway. That is the whole difference. Sex and intimacy over 50 in Thailand is better than you think, not because Thailand is a fantasy that does not require anything real from you, but because you arrived with something genuine: patience, stability, the absence of frantic proving. And there are women here who have been looking for exactly that for a long time, in a country full of men who could not offer it. You are not too old. You are, for the first time in a long time, exactly the right age. If this channel is giving you something you did not expect to find, subscribe. There is more. Creating those videos is often stressful next to a full-time job. So if you enjoy watching my videos, then please support me by subscribing to my channel. It just shows the algorithm that you like these kinds of videos. And everything you need to make the most of what Thailand is offering you, it is all in my guide in the pinned comment.